name is Jeff Burnham. I'm the captain with the Lincoln Police Department.
Chris Wyman, and I'm an investigator with the New Hampshire State Fire Marshal's Office.
My first question is, what is the safest way to use fireworks?
The safest way to use fireworks is to actually attend a professional display. That's going to be the way to provide the most safety for anyone watching the fireworks or your families that go to fireworks shows. Professional displays are conducted by licensed people. Those events are all permitted through the state of New Hampshire, and there are regulations that are provided by state law that ensure basically a level of safety. But should you choose to use what's known as permissible fireworks here in New Hampshire, consumer fireworks, the first way is to make sure that you're buying from a licensed dealer here in the state of New Hampshire to ensure you're not buying product that's actually illegal. The second way would be to follow all of the safety instructions that are on each individual device, as well as make sure that the retailer provides you safety information as well.
So what are what's the process of getting a permit?
If you're a professional licensed shooter, to get a permit here in the state of New Hampshire, first you have to be licensed by the New Hampshire Department of Safety, and the permit process goes through a series of events with the local authorities, the local police chief, the fire chief. As far as getting permits to use what's known as permissible consumer fireworks, that's dependent upon the community. So if the community of Lincoln, and the captain can answer it, if the community of Lincoln has adopted an ordinance that in any way, shape, or form restricts the use, possession, or display of permissible fireworks, that's the process you'd follow if you were doing this as an individual.
We do have a town ordinance that does govern that. There is a permit process allowed for it, but it's very stringent. Again, it's going to mirror the states in that you have to be a licensed professional. The permissible fireworks are generally smaller. They don't have the big bang and booms that the shows put on. However, the ones that you would be able to set off would be governed through the fire chief, who is Ron Beard. It would go through town hall, and it would be reviewed by all the department heads to make sure the venue, the number of people who may be in attendance, if it's a private residence, or any of the potential hazards involving traffic or physical safety would be considered before it was given.
How often are people injured by firework accidents?
It's a great question. So the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission tracks injuries involving consumer fireworks. So in their report comes out in June of every year. So June of this past year, 2014, the 2013 injury report came out, and it showed that over 11,000 people were injured by fireworks just in 2013. A lot of people feel that because they're a consumer device that they're safe, and that's not true. Anytime you put an explosive material, and we'll just call it what it is, consumer fireworks, yes, they're smaller devices. It's not professional grade. They do carry an amount of pyrotechnic material that's federally regulated, but at the end of the day, it's still an explosive material. And if handled inappropriately, and then sometimes, even if you follow the safety instructions, if the product malfunctions, it can injure you pretty significantly, if not, can kill you. In New Hampshire, back in 2012, we had probably the largest consumer fireworks incident here in the state of New Hampshire, which was in the town of Pelham. That event injured, I believe it was 8 adults and 5 children. The youngest was 18 months, 3 of which had to be airlifted to Boston hospitals. And the only reason I bring that incident up today, now 13 people were injured pretty significantly. But some of those people are still receiving burn and wound care today. That was 2 years ago.
When is it appropriate for fireworks?
When is it appropriate? Well, you'd have to, I'm going to go back to the captain on this one, and I'm going to say, as far as the state law goes, if you're 21 years of age or older, or you're 18 years of age or older and you have an active duty military ID, you can legally possess permissible consumer fireworks here in the state of New Hampshire. To use them, you have to be in a community which has not restricted their use, their possession, or their display by a local ordinance, and you have to be on property that you own or you have written permission from the landowner. So that's the state requirement. So when would be the appropriate time to use it? when you've complied with those state requirements I just gave you, as well as any local ordinances that may be in place in your community.
Recognizing that the ordinances are all designed around safety, they're aware of the statistics, and the towns have adopted these ordinances knowing that people who are unregulated do some crazy things sometimes, and that's when accidents happen. But if you put the time and energy into being certified, odds are you're going to practice safety. That's the certification process.
How far away should you be from other people from lighting off fireworks, and how far away should you be from them?
Obviously, anytime you're lighting off a consumer firework, you don't want to be close to it once it's ignited. So basically, the proper way would be to, in a lot of stores sell them, they're called lighting punks. It looks like a long incense burner, or maybe even a stick lighter. When you lean down to light the fuse, make sure that you're arm's length at least away, so that if something does go wrong, you have the ability to actually react and move away. But basically, it's reach down, do not put your body or a part of your body over a firework device at any time. Light the fuse and then quickly move away. Depending on the device, if you read the safety instructions that are on the device or that come with the device, they're going to tell you how close you can be or how far away you have to be. So certain devices, you might see that it says 40 feet. Other devices might suggest up to 150 feet away. And that's what makes it difficult when people use them in their backyard. People think that consumer fireworks are just these small devices that won't do any harm to me, that won't do any harm to my neighbors. But in fact, anybody in your viewing audience, if you've ever been to the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, down in Manchester on a Friday or Saturday night game when they have fireworks, I always use this as an example. Those fireworks that they're using are consumer fireworks. It is not a professional display. It's put on by professional shooters, but it's not professional product. So for people to say consumer fireworks aren't a big deal, they are. And they actually, if you're not a trained professional, it's very hard to tell the difference between what's consumer and what's professional.
A simpler breakdown of that is the magnitude of the payload. How big is the boom? How far are the ashes going to go? Because all of that's on fire. It's got to land somewhere, and if you're not prepared,
My last question is, why can you buy fireworks and not light them off?
Why can you buy fireworks but not light them off? Well, the state law actually says, we'll go through it again, if you're 21 years of age or older, you're in a community that has not restricted them, and you're on your own property or on property where you have written permission from the landowner, the state law says you can possess them and you can use them. But that's the state law. Every community you go in, and actually on the state fire marshal's website, we have a list of communities and their restrictions. And that's the important part, because just because you comply with the state law does not necessarily mean you're in compliance with what the local regulations are in your community.
would you give out that site so people could reference that if they
I can get it for you if you guys want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be helpful for information down the road. People trying to do the right thing just don't have the access. That might be helpful for
Sure.
us as well, because we like to reference that out.
Absolutely.
Because we want people trying to do the right thing, and people who are going through the efforts, we'd like to help them.
URLs.
Right. One of those questions, kind of when we were organizing, came from my way of thinking, which is, why is this information less available to the retailers, or they make it less available to the consumers at the retail stores? Because I would say, in my own experience, I would say several dozens of people go, but I just bought them. They didn't tell me I couldn't use them. Now, I am aware that ignorance is not part of the process here, but being proactive, saying, okay, just make sure you check with the community first. Is that a possibility for a regulation? Is that a mandate that they're not following? Because we don't have any fireworks sales places here, but other places where I've been working did, and they never brought that up. Because, I don't know, maybe it might affect sales.
No, by state law, the community restrictions list, so every community in the state is listed on that list.
Okay.
By state law, the retail stores have to have that posted in a public place, inside the retail store. So if you don't see it, ask for it. And the last update was in August of this year. We updated about every year and a half we try to. I mean, it's a task to get answers from 255 communities across the state. But definitely, it's already in regulation. That list has to be in a prominent place on the sales floor, as well as, and although the state law was changed back in 2011, as far as safety information, the law was changed that the retailers shall provide safety information they shall make available. So what's the difference?
You don't ask for it.
Every time you go to a store, ask to see that community restrictions list. Ask for safety information. So because it is in regulation.
Good.
So
That's good to know. I didn't know that, and I'm happy to learn that, so I can share that with other people.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing the products. Your hands are really cold.
Hopefully you guys can add a little bit of that.